quick headlines before the intro. This is the UGTP Weekly AI Mega for the week ending June 6, and the theme is not one model winning one benchmark. The theme is AI becoming an operating layer. OpenAI started rolling out a more scalable ChatGPT memory system called Dreaming and added lockdown mode across logged-in users. GitHub turned Copilot Cloud Agent tasks into an API, added 1 million token context windows, expanded billing and budget APIs, gave users one-click Copilot fixes for failing actions, and deprecated GPT 5.2 and GPT 5.2 codecs across most Copilot experiences. Anthropic mapped 832 banned cyber abuse accounts against MITRE ATT and CK and argued that AI-enabled attacks are becoming more autonomous. NVIDIA released Cosmos 3 on Hugging Face as an open omni-model family for physical AI. Mistral pushed Search Toolkit for production retrieval. Microsoft Build gave us agent sandboxes, Work IQ, model choice, and low token cost agent infrastructure. The short version, the industry is moving from chat features to memory, context, tools, security, budgets, sandboxes, and automation. Receipts up, hype down. Let's lock in.
Powered by artificial intelligence.
The newest OpenAI story this week is not just memory. It is memory plus security. OpenAI says Dreaming is a more capable and scalable system for synthesizing memory in ChatGPT, built to handle staleness, correctness, and scale across hundreds of millions of users in multi-year time horizons. In practical terms, the assistant is supposed to remember useful context without clinging to old or contradictory details. That matters because memory is not a cute personalization trick anymore. If ChatGPT helps with long-running projects, career work, family planning, code bases, and research, the quality of memory decides whether it feels like a collaborator or a stranger with notes. The rollout details are also important. OpenAI says the update is available to Plus and Pro users in the United States first, with expansion to additional countries and free and Go users over the coming weeks. The Help Center notes that Plus and Pro users can also get twice as much memory capacity. Users can review memories through sources or the memory summary, and those who prefer the legacy save memories model can switch back in settings. That is the right product tension. Automatic memory can be powerful, but it needs visibility and control. Then comes lockdown mode. OpenAI says it is now available to all logged-in users across account types and workspaces. It is an opt-in advanced security setting that restricts network-enabled capabilities like live browsing, deep research, agent mode, file downloads, and some web-derived image support. The reason is prompt injection and data exfiltration. If an AI system can browse, download, call tools, and read sensitive context, a malicious page or instruction can try to trick it. Lockdown mode is not glamorous, but it is one of the clearest signs that AI products are entering the security maturity phase. More memory and more tool access are useful only if users can decide when the system should be sealed off. The newest GitHub story is model churn. On June 5, GitHub said GPT 5.2 and GPT 5.2 codecs are deprecated across most GitHub Copilot experiences, including Copilot Chat, inline edits, Ask Mode, Agent Mode, and code completions. GitHub lists GPT 5.5 as the suggested alternative for GPT 5.2, and GPT 5.3 codecs as the suggested alternative for GPT 5.2 codecs. There is one notable exception. GPT 5.2 is still available as part of Copilot Code Review. This sounds like a small changelog entry, but it is a big enterprise reality check. Coding assistants are no longer stable wrappers around one model. They are model fleets. One model becomes the default, another becomes deprecated, another is allowed only for code review, another needs an admin policy toggle, and another may cost a different number of credits. Developers may experience that as a drop-down. Enterprises experience it as governance work, approval, security review, legal review, performance testing, cost forecasting, and internal guidance. The lesson is not that model churn is bad. It is that model lifecycle management is now part of software development. If your workflow depends on an agent model, you need to know what happens when the model changes. Does it write different tests? Does it produce larger patches? Does it use more context? Does it need fewer retries? Does it behave differently on security-sensitive code? GitHub tells enterprise admins they may need to enable access to alternative models through model policies in Copilot settings. That sentence is the whole week in miniature. AI is not just a feature you turn on. It is a managed platform with versions, policies, costs, and blast radius. The next new GitHub story is not flashy, and that is exactly why it matters. GitHub says budget and usage management APIs are now generally available. That means teams can programmatically create, update, delete, and adjust budgets, along with alert notifications. The new Usage Summary API can retrieve usage for an entire account or filter by organizations, repositories, cost centers, products, or SKUs. A separate changelog says enterprise administrators can now request and download billing usage reports in CSV format through the REST API. This is the financial control layer for agentic AI. Last week, people could talk about agents as productivity. This week, the platform is saying, show me usage by repository, by organization, by product, by SKU, by day, by month. That is what happens when AI coding stops being a novelty and becomes infrastructure spend. If Copilot code review, cloud agents, long context chats, and model choices all consume credits or compute, then finance and engineering need the same kind of observability they expect from cloud services. For developers, this may feel distant. For engineering leaders, it is central. You cannot scale autonomous work if you cannot cap it, measure it, and explain it. A runaway agent that opens repeated sessions, reads a million tokens unnecessarily, or retries a failing workflow for hours is not just annoying. It is a cost event. The budget APIs also hint at a future where internal developer platforms can enforce AI usage policies automatically. Maybe high-cost models are allowed only on certain repositories. Maybe code review budgets differ by team. Maybe experimental agents run in a capped cost center. This is not hype. This is the boring machinery that lets AI survive procurement, finance, and production operations. Now to the kind of feature users will actually feel. GitHub says Copilot Pro, Pro Plus, and Max subscribers can now ask Copilot Cloud Agent to fix a failing GitHub Actions job in one click. The workflow is simple. When an Actions job fails, the user clicks Fix with Copilot on the Workflow Run Logs page. Copilot investigates the failure, pushes a fix to the branch, and tags the user for review when it is done. GitHub says the work runs from Copilot's own cloud-based development environment. This is small, direct, and probably sticky. Failing CI is one of the most common friction points in software work. Maybe a test snapshot changed. Maybe a linter rule broke. Maybe a dependency version shifted. Maybe a workflow path is wrong. A senior engineer can often fix it quickly, but the interruption costs focus. The promise here is delegation. Hand off simple but time-consuming failures and stay in the work you wanted to do. The risk is also clear. A CI fix is still a code change. If an agent patches a test by weakening the assertion, hides a real failure, or changes a workflow in a way that makes later deployments less safe, the team loses more than it gains. That is why the review step matters. The best version of this feature is not Copilot fixed it, ship it. The best version is Copilot investigated, produced a patch, and gave the human a reviewable diff. This is the pattern we should expect everywhere. Agents will take the first pass at repetitive operational tasks, but strong teams will keep evidence, diffs, checks, and accountability in the loop. The most serious security story of the week comes from Anthropic. The company analyzed 832 accounts banned for malicious cyber activity between March 2025 and March 2026, then mapped activity against MITRE ATT and CK. Anthropic says these accounts are only a subset of total banned accounts, but they had enough detail for a deeper assessment. The findings are uncomfortable. Attackers are using AI in ways that make them more dangerous. AI can chain together parts of the attack lifecycle, and existing security frameworks do not fully capture what AI-enabled attackers can do. The numbers matter. Anthropic says 560 of the 832 studied accounts, or 67.3%, used AI for malware-related preparation. 54 accounts, or 6.5%, used AI to assist with lateral movement, which means navigating deeper inside a compromised network. Anthropic also says the share of actors classified as medium risk or higher rose from 33% in the first 6-month period to 56% in the second, roughly a 1.7-fold increase. The real warning is not that every attacker is suddenly elite. It is that AI changes the relationship between skill and capability. Anthropic says the number of techniques used or the interface selected did not correlate strongly with risk level. What mattered more was where in the attack lifecycle AI was applied and whether attackers built scaffolding around the model to chain stages together with little human input. That is the agentic security concern. A chatbot that drafts phishing copy is one problem. A tool-using agent that discovers accounts, escalates privileges, runs commands, and adapts in real time is a different category. Defenders need frameworks that recognize orchestration, autonomy, and model-assisted decision-making as threat behaviors in their own right. The other Anthropic story this week is business infrastructure. Anthropic announced the Services Track and Partner Hub for the Claude Partner Network. The company says more than 40,000 firms have applied to join the network and more than 10,000 consultants have earned a Claude certification. It also lists major services firms building Claude practices, including Accenture training 30,000 professionals, Cognizant rolling Claude out to roughly 350,000 associates, Deloitte making it available to 470,000 people, and KPMG integrating Claude across more than 276,000 workers. The new services track has 3 tiers: Select, Preferred, and Global Premier. The requirements are not just "we like Claude." They are operational, active certified individuals, joint customers deployed in production, public customer stories, and in the top tier, deployments across 3 or more regions plus a joint business plan. The Claude Partner Hub lets partners see standing against requirements, refreshed daily, and gives customers a directory of qualified firms. Why put this in an AI news mega? Because it shows how enterprise AI adoption actually happens. Models do not magically deploy themselves into banks, manufacturers, hospitals, public sector agencies, and law firms. There is integration, evaluation, change management, training, data access, security, procurement, and workflow redesign. Anthropic is building the channel layer around Claude, and the numbers suggest consulting firms see AI implementation as a major business line. The risk is that partner ecosystems can become marketing fog. The useful part is visible requirements, certifications, production deployments, public customer references, and quarterly verification. In the enterprise, AI competition is not only model versus model. It is ecosystem versus ecosystem. Google did not just publish one new product note this week. It published a June 5 recap of its biggest AI updates from May 2026, and the framing is useful because it tells us how Google wants the market to understand the current cycle. Google says its May updates centered on the agentic Gemini era, including Gemini 3.5 for agents and coding, Gemini Omni for reasoning plus creation, proactive tools in the Gemini app, Universal Cart, the Google Health app, and new hardware experiences. This is not the same kind of breaking item as GitHub deprecating a model or OpenAI rolling out memory. But it belongs in the weekly because it gives context. Google is positioning AI not as one assistant, but as a layer across search, creation, shopping, health, devices, developer tools, and agents. That matches the broader story from OpenAI, Microsoft, GitHub, Anthropic, NVIDIA, and Mistral. The companies are not simply trying to answer questions better. They are trying to own the context layer where tasks begin, continue, and complete. The important thing for viewers is to separate product language from platform direction. A recap can sound broad and shiny. The real direction is concrete, more capable model families, agent-focused developer surfaces, consumer apps that act proactively, and hardware that turns AI from a website into an ambient system. The competitive question is not whether Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, or a physical AI model has the best demo this week. The question is which stack gives users the best combination of memory, tool use, search, device access, privacy controls, cost control, and trust. Before we move into the rest of the weekly context, here are the stories to watch next. First, Google and Kaggle's June 15th through 19th AI Agents course is worth tracking because it turns agent building into mainstream education, not just a developer conference demo. When big platforms teach millions of people how to build agents, the next wave of tools, templates, and startup experiments usually follows. Second, watch GitHub Copilot policy changes day by day. This week alone gave us model deprecations, 1 million token context, budget APIs, usage reports, and cloud agent automation. That means Copilot is moving fast enough that teams need a weekly policy check: which models are enabled, which tasks are allowed, which budgets are capped, and which agent features touch production repositories. Third, watch OpenAI's memory and lockdown mode rollout. The tension is obvious. Users want assistants that remember ongoing work, but security teams want fewer routes for prompt injection and data exfiltration. The products that win will not simply remember more. They will make memory explainable, editable, fresh, and easy to restrict when sensitive work begins.